All right. Hello, YouTube family. So, I want to talk to you about a really, really interesting topic today. This is something that I know some of us might know a little bit more about. Some of us are, this is all like a whole other language for us. And I want to talk to you about the fourth industrial revolution today. So, definitely grab your seats, grab a pen and paper, and get ready because there is a lot to unpack here. But I know that it's going to be beneficial for you. And I'm also going to invite you to, share this video. I love to hear from you guys in the comments. What are your thoughts about this? What are things that you notice? Because, I only see so much. And so I want to know what you're seeing as well. And I want to talk to you about this topic because a lot of people don't know much about this. And so please share this video. It really is about getting the word out there and so that people can wake up to the truth of what's happening. And so I just want to give all glory to God where glory is due for revealing these things, and understanding, God doesn't leave us in darkness. He says that we are children of light. And so we walk in the light and we are able to see things that he is showing. So what is the fourth industrial revolution? This is all connected to the metaverse. Maybe you've been hearing about that. I have another video on that, so check that out if you want to learn more. But the fourth industrial revolution is where we are going. Okay, so that first industrial revolution was really where you had mechanization, steam power, right? Like this is where you started to see industry was really starting to grow. And then it started to expand later on with mass production assembly lines, right? The use of electrical energy. So this is where you started seeing factories and things like that that increase production and globalization and an impact on the global economy and markets. Well, that third industrial revolution is really what we're ending. We're coming to an end to. And that was with automation, okay? Computers, electronics. We went from having a phone in the 90s or even the early 2000s that was just having Bluetooth connectivity for the masses. I remember actually being in a movie theater and understanding, having my little razor, my hot pink razor phone, and hearing about this thing called Bluetooth that I could drop, someone could drop a song to me, and that was huge. And I remember that, like, hey, let's connect that way and get a song on my phone. And this was only, in the early 2000s. And so now to today, where we have this, this device that everything is on this device, right? Like everything, your email, your contacts, you can call people, you can see, you can Zoom, you can, I mean, I have an online business. I run my entire online business. I can run it through my phone, right? So that is the capabilities and the level to which we are now connected to the internet. Okay, our whole lives essentially have been connected to the internet. Paper, people don't really use it as much. I'm definitely old fashioned. I like having paper, I like holding things. But almost anything that you can think of has in some way moved to the internet or moved, especially with to the cloud, right? There's this idea of not owning anything. Okay, everything is just in the cloud, right? Google workspaces, everything's in the cloud. And so this fourth industrial revolution is not just about getting people connected to the computers and the electronics, but it's about connecting everything around us to the cloud or to the internet. So the things that wouldn't normally be connected, right? Your toothbrush, cars. Okay, we know cars have been connected to the internet. Even when you wear your watch, that Apple Watch, it's tracking your medical, it's tracking your water intake. I saw a mirror that you can work out in front of that's connected to the internet, right? Like a mirror. Who would have thought? Okay. So, this is what the fourth industrial revolution is about. It is about bringing all of these systems together, things in the physical, and connecting them to the internet. So, all of the data that it's collecting is going to it's called the Internet of Things and Networks. So, the Internet of Things. Whereas before, the internet was us being human, right, connecting to the internet to do things. Well, now this is connecting things to the internet. All right. So that is what this fourth industrial revolution is really all about. And how I think you're going to see the greatest impact and why this is important, especially as a believer, is the fourth industrial revolution, what it means. There was a key piece to this article that I wanted to point out. And it talked about the impact on people, because now not only like are we, we're connected to our devices, but it's outside of us. So this next step is going to be not just connecting the items and the things around us, but connecting us as human beings now to it. Okay, that is going to be the change. So the fourth industrial revolution, this is the piece to hold on to here. It says finally we'll change not only what we do, but also who we are. Now, if you know the things that I teach a lot about the theory of evolution. I teach a lot about how that has been a smokescreen for this, right? It goes along with the new age mentality, the book. Like, I'm actually finishing up my book, and hopefully I'll let you guys know when that's out. I'd love to send you a copy. It's called Faith Crushed in the Classroom. And it talks about these issues, how we've been primed through our education to believe these things. And part of that is this evolution, this idea that we're going to evolve into this higher form of self here on earth, almost like a godhood where death is defeated, right? All those things outside of Christ. And that's the appeal to this, right? It's live your best life, have your own world, do what you want, but you don't need Jesus to do it, and you can live for eternity. So that's where this is going. It's the lie that was told in the garden. And so this idea that our human evolution, right, well, as they use evolution, is that next step is to evolve and to connect with the computers. Okay, that's what this idea is about, which obviously goes, totally against what we believe as Christians. And so it will affect our identity and all the issues associated with it, our sense of privacy, our notions of ownership, our consumption patterns, the time we devote to work and leisure, and how we develop our careers, cultivate our skills, meet people, and nurture relationships. It is already changing our health, here we go, and leading to a quantified self. That is the key, a quantified self. And sooner than we think, it may lead to human augmentation, okay? So that's the key. Human augmentation, changing humans, evolving humans into that next phase of life, okay, for what they believe, which means merging man and machine. This is the book of Daniel, right, where we see that crushing, that kingdom right before Jesus comes with the crushing rock, kingdom of Christ. We see this iron and clay where they try to mingle, but it says just as iron and clay don't mingle together, their seed will try to mingle, that they're going to be broken apart by the coming of Christ. And so that we are really in the end times when we're seeing things like this and we're starting to understand the truth of this. Now, that's human augmentation. So the list is endless because it is bound only by our imagination, right? It's this idea of freeing the mind. Now, I want to pause here and I want to go to this part here, okay? When we talk about smart, anything smart, we have smart appliances. This can be a smartphone, it could be a tablet. And it says anything that allows you to better control fit your appliance remotely. They're going to do this in the disguise of convenience, efficiency, safety, and peace of mind to your life. Okay, understand that. Okay, how do I know that this stuff has been planned and this is not just like, oh, you're making this up, you're like a crazy lady, right? This has been talked about for years. This movie came out about 20 years ago and it was called Smarthouse. And what do we see today? Smart appliances. Now, if you watch parts of this movie, it talks about, they go into the house, they put their hand in this thing, the hand, it's a bio, it reads the hand and it gets all of their medical information. And so if I wasn't, worried about them striking me down, I have to be very careful. I don't like to do stuff because they like to do the copyright no matter what I try here. But here's the image I want you to look at. This is what happens when they first go in the house. Now keep this image like burned in your brain because I'm going to show you a couple of other images that connect to this. But I'm going to drop the link for this in the description. Please watch it for yourself. She goes in and then the smart house, the woman who programmed the smart house explains to them how she works, how the smart house works. And it caters, right? This idea of efficiency, it caters to the wants, needs, and desires of the people that are in it. So it's going to be like, hey, this is convenience. And they said, well, why is that? Why can't I make the food myself? Why can't I do that? And her answer is it makes your life more convenient. And that's going to be the answer for you. Okay. And that's what they're going to push in this new technology. keep that image in your mind. We have it right here. You see this gentleman's hand. This is a company called Forward. It's the same idea, but we're actually seeing it right now in our present world. Forward is about when the basically it's a technology that's being used. It says look at genetics, cancer screening, and wellness tracking. Okay, so all of that is, like I said, very much connected. Now, I'm not going to get into all of the black goo stuff today that's connected with the you know what, the thing that they're making mandatory. I'm not going to get into that today, but it is going to be important, and I think this video will lay a little bit of a foundation for understanding how the body is going to play a role, right? The temple of God that they are going to destroy and desecrate, how this temple of God will be manipulated and changed so that the spirit of Antichrist can sit at the center of it. And so I want to get into that in another video, but I need to lay this foundational stuff for those of you who are watching, because if we don't understand this part, we're not going to get the other stuff. So I really want you to understand this. So that is the idea. There's a connection to the body, biology, blending with machine. Now, where else have we seen this? Now, we know in Revelation, right? It talks about how the mark of the beast has to do with in your forehead or in your hand, right? Your palm. Well, what is this right here? We're already starting to see the Easter eggs, okay, that will lead to that. So by the time it gets rolled out, it's like, oh, we've been doing this already. Amazon put forward, it's called Amazon One. They love one. When you see one, you can guess it has to do with convergence, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But this idea of one, enter and pay with your palm. Why? It's convenient. You can't forget your hand, right? That's the idea. All you do is put your hand, they scan your hand, and boom, you just paid for things. Those will not be able to buy nor sell unless they have the mark of the beast in the name of the number of the beast, right? Which is 666. But that mark of the beast is either in your forehead or in your hand. Okay, so we're starting to see these things already coming to pass, and the technologies that are being integrated for it. And even more so, look at this. Here's a great image for us: contactless payments in times of you know what, endorsed by Amazon. Nice little barcode on your palm. Let's give a high five. Great job, Amazon. Okay. So this is the direction it's going. This is the priming. So when it gets rolled out, because if you would have did this 20 years ago, what they already knew, right? We saw Smarthouse. They already knew the technology was already in place. It's a matter of rolling out. Okay, because in the human mind, they're not going to, if unless your mind is redeemed in Christ, you're not going to make those associations for yourself. There are some that are in this like woke movement, like they're starting to see, but then the woke movement in itself is not of God. Although they are seeing some truths to some things, but it's outside of Christ. Okay, but that needs to also be redeemed. But if we see, here's the picture, right? She's doing that. She's like, yeah, let me just pay with my hand, boop, and I'm going to keep on going. And the crazy part is, how do you connect this to what's going on in the outside world? Everybody's concern is if you're, whether or not you are JABBED. Okay. So if that's the case, well, with that medical technology, with that swipe of my hand, I can find out whether or not you are JABBED or not, and find out whether or not you're allowed to pay for your food. And guys, when I tell you, like, this is the direction things are going, I want to show you. I'm going to drop the link for this as well. 5 smart home technologies. I want to keep this video as short as possible so that way you can get all this information together. But this is exactly where this is going. So it talks about Echo, it talks about Google Home, Siri, and you're going to notice that in everything that they're saying, it all is connected to this idea about keeping things convenient for folks. So what is this idea, this Internet of Things we're talking about? It's connecting the world. It's not just connecting people anymore, but it's connecting the physical to the digital. Okay, so all these physical assets will be represented in the fit in the I want to say spiritual, not the, well, not the spiritual, the digital, right? The digital is mimicking, right? And so if you, I don't know if you've seen this, but there's a lot about NFTs, and we could talk about non-fungible tokens and all of that. But all these things are going to be traded in this metaverse, where it's like right now you can actually buy property in the metaverse through something called OpenSea, which is where you can actually buy these NFTs. And they're basically, it's like you can buy Reno, you can buy Los Angeles, you can buy New York City, you can buy actual properties for going for, it sells for with Ethereum, but you can buy these things. And what it comes out to in fiat currency, like our physical dollars, is thousands of dollars, and it's crazy. But this is the direction it's going. Why? Because when everything is plugged in, you're going to be able to access these things through the metaverse. Okay. Now, this idea of convergence, this is the direction it's going. I think this is a really great visual for understanding convergence. It's when all of these strands, all of these things are coming together to create one, right? Amazon, one World Trade Center. It's always the one, capital one. Everything is one. When you see one, it's because they want to converge. They wanted everyone to come together, which also is a mocking of what Jesus wants to do with his church. Yes, Jesus wants his true believers. He's going to call his sons and daughters from the north, the south, the east, and the west to come together in order to mirror that body of Christ here on church, here on the earth, the church, right? The body of Christ. When we come together, there's a power that is behind that. Okay, and so the enemy wants to mimic and mock this, but he's doing it, and what that's bringing together is the spirit of Antichrist together in one. So convergence, the process or state of converging, it's when you bring things that are on opposite ends, different areas, and they're coming together, right? Slowly until they merge into being one. Now, what I thought was interesting was this idea of convergence is in biology says the tendency of unrelated animals and plants, here's that word, to evolve superficially similar characteristics under similar environmental conditions. Again, it's the coming together, this evolving into this new thing, okay, which is part of the internet. Now, like I said, there's already initiatives to go into each part of this. There's a smart home, connecting the home. There's also the smart city. Okay. So this is the technology for the city. So this is what they're trying to do here. You have camera lights, right? You have all of these things. You have electric cars, right? You have all of these things that are connected now in the city as well to create the smart city. So these are smart cities. The idea is smart government, it's smart houses, it's everything that is smart and connecting to the internet. This also adds a level of control. um, if you might have heard of this China social credit system, I'm not going to play the videos again just for fear of copyright, but I want you to please, please go in the description, watch these videos for yourself. But it goes into talking about how here's this woman, she goes and she checks up on everybody, right? Like she's the snitch. She's the Chinese snitch, okay? She's the one who goes in China and she walks around and she's checking all of the stuff, right? She's checking on everybody and she has a record that she writes, and she's basically the one that's responsible for giving points, either positive or negative, depending on what people do. And that's then posted all here. Okay. This is all posted there. So you'll be able to actually go in and find people's names, what they did, and they engage in public shaming if someone's done something wrong. But if they've done something right, right, their deeds are there for everyone. And here's all of her notes. She's probably the one that you don't want to invite to your party, right? You're like, don't invite the snitch lady. We don't want her there. But that's what happens, and she gets paid to do it. And I'm sure she gives herself plenty of good points, right? So again, like this is what's happening in China. Okay. And so I wanted to just show this to you. Now, on the opposite end, here's a gentleman here, right? Like he was, I believe he was blacklisted, meaning like he couldn't travel, he couldn't buy tickets to an airplane. Like there's some things he was not able to do. And this is the direction that all of this is 100% going. It's a way for China to spy on their citizens. It has to do with their voting and everything, and doing everything they can to increase the credit score. And for those who have been blacklisted, they actually the problem is, here's another gentleman. This lady, she's an ideal citizen. Like she gets perks and stuff like that, lower interest rates, all that kind of stuff. But this gentleman was blacklisted, and he was a journalist, and he came close to actually exposing some corruption that was happening in the Chinese government, and they blacklisted him. He couldn't access his funds. He couldn't access, he wasn't able to purchase like rent an apartment. These are the things, okay? And I want you to understand like the direction that a lot of this is going. Well, how are they able to do that? And how do we know? So if you watch Black Mirror is a great example of how this was actually going to take place and how it already is taking place. So she goes through, she's rating other people are rating her and their interactions. She wants to go catch a flight. and she was short by like 0.02 points or zero point 0.2 points, and she couldn't get on the flight. And so again, like these are the kind of things that we're starting to see as this goes. But here's an example of how they can cut off, right, our supply. So buying food with facial recognition technology, like this is the direction all this is going. So they literally just put their face up, they would scan, and that would give them access into the store, and then they can buy whatever they want. And you're not going to have a need for people to work, right, because you everything's all by your face. And so this is another video I would recommend to watch. Again, we're already starting to see the rollout of these things. So you saw that in here. These are cooler screens, and you can see like what's inside of things. And some companies are starting to use this as an advertisement, but also that you can see like what do they have in there. And then there's camera that they can put at the top, and the camera will read your face, and it won't open for you to be able to have the item unless you have a certain something. Okay, can you see how this is already starting to be laid out? So, what is a connected society? Connected society means a society in which so people and objects, right? We talked about this, things and things, online and offline, one to many, and many to many are connected. So everything that you can imagine is connected using digital technology, or the digital based society that stores, analyzes, and manages data collected by sensors and mobile terminals through a network. Again, this is why they want to connect the cities, they want to connect your homes, right? It's a constant level of connection. Understanding what people are doing. There's no privacy involved at all. Like that doesn't exist anymore. And it's an easy way to silence people. So, how is this going to work? Well, we talked about how the things are being laid out already for people to be used to paying with their hands. Well, another big piece is also the mind. So, we talked about brain technology. This sounds like sci-fi, like crazy, but it actually exists. And this year, or I think it might have been last year, that they already started trials of this with Elon Musk. So Elon Musk has been huge as a part of this, but he has something called Neuralink. Literally, it's the link that you need, the neural for your brain, the neural link to link to the computer to plug into the Internet of Things. And so this is the direction that it's going to go. It's an idea of engineering with the brain. It's that next level that they're going to tell you of evolution, in order for you to connect with this. Now, I'm not going to talk about, the things that are in the VACCINE just yet, because again, I want to do a video on that and how that's connected to all of this. Now, if you got it, like again, we're going to pray that the Lord will cleanse anything that is not good for you, right? That might hurt your body, but also some of the liquid that is involved in it that has some metallic properties, and how that connects to this connection piece, right? The human battery kind of thing. Now, understanding the brain, this is what this is all about. It's that chip that they're going that is being placed in the brain. There's a Simpsons episode as well of this, where Marge, she gets her text message comes ding, like right to her brain. She closes her eyes and she can actually see. So it's almost like that metaverse interface. When you put on those AI goggles, you won't need them like they're doing glasses, right? Eventually goggles, glasses, as we know with all technology, gets smaller and more invasive, and then eventually it'll just be close your eyes, and it's right there in your mind. So here's an example of the Black Mirror episode, of him preparing to actually upload his consciousness. So she places this thing in the back of his neck. He's there, he's strapped in, and there you go. He's got the plug in, where he can get plugged into what they're doing. So he's there. He's like, oh wow, that's it. That's what's happening. And she's preparing to now upload his mind, his consciousness, getting ready. So you see the little machine going boop, boop. It's like starting to do that. And then he starts to like have a bad reaction. Well, there was an interference. Mom was calling. So there's an interference on the line. And so then it actually ends up, killing him. So we see that he died. It didn't work, whatever. And that was the situation. So that's the direction, right? Another example from Black Mirror, here's the brain. Okay, talking about the brain scans and this idea of uploading the consciousness and downloading it into an avatar. So there was this little robot being here, and her consciousness was uploaded. This was a like I think it was like a famous rock star, Miley Cyrus played on it, and she was uploaded, and here she is. She's rolling around. She's got her own personality. She's a real person. She's doing the stuff. She's talking, and all of that happened. There you see the brain there in the background. It was downloaded here into this avatar. And like I said, I know it sounds crazy, but really this is the direction, and the technology is definitely all in place for that. So that's available for you to check out on your own. Now, how is this connected to gaming, and how are they going to use that as a segue? Another Black Mirror episode called Striking Vipers. I'm going to show you this same little connection piece. He's on the phone, he's talking, and there's this thing he goes to grab, and he puts it in his ear, right? He's on the phone, he's speaking, and his friend's like, come on, join me in this game. They're going to play the real game. And so he goes, okay. So he goes to, and he puts this little thing, here's the chip. He puts it in the controller, but then he connects himself, and he has this little thing, and he puts it on his temple, and you can see him going to do that there. The other one has his this on his temple, and they're preparing to enter like a metaverse. Okay, so they prepare, they pick their people, they're ready to go. All right, and then the next thing you know, you see this like all this tunnel looking thing, like they're going into another, and then he look, boom, I'm in it. I am in it, and I am getting ready to actually fight. But if you watch this episode in full, what's scary about this is it's actually a way to act out your sin. The premise with this piece is that it's two males that are friends. One picks this avatar as a female, one is this male, and again, it's the premise of the game. But they break the game, and then they start like committing sexual sin together in the game. And so when you talk about a new layer, like even Mark Zuckerberg and all these other folks at the forefront of this technology are saying that there's going to come a point where you can enter that metaverse and you can feel things, right? So, what better way to act out the sins and the desires of your heart than to enter into a realm that could be whatever you want it to be? You can act out in any way you want, and you can actually feel what's happening, okay? So, this is going to be part of that convergence that you're going to experience. Now, how is this going to be done? I wanted to talk to you a little bit about. There's a movie called 2149: The Aftermath. It was a horrible movie. It was not well done, but I felt really compelled to watch it, and God spoke a lot through it. And He was showing, this is the plan. This idea is that the backstory is that the government was told people that, hey, like there's this thing that was happening, and we need to make sure that we're not being impacted by it. And so they went into these isolation pods. Isolation pods, I'm going to say it again, isolation pods. Guys, your house is your isolation pods, right? When we talk about lockdowns and all of this, isolated within your own house, but everything that you want and need, right there, you can work from there, you can do all of that. So he went into this isolation pod, and he was there for I think like 10 years, until eventually what he did was he saw a dog, and the dog was out there, and the dog was barking, and he's like, wait a minute, like I thought we were going to die if we ever left these pods, because they told him the air was contaminated. So he started to take a step out and to break out of that. And when he took his step out, there's all this fear that he was still trapped in this pod and what was happening. But then what he recognized and realized was um, that there was nothing happening at all, that there was and there was nothing that was going on. You could see like the technology there in the chair that's like connected to him, but there was nothing happening there. The air was fine, and there was actually people who were surviving and living in the woods. And so there was a lot of these people in these pods, and he went to even find his mom, and his mom, he says in the video that his mom was in love with the narrative. Okay, so guys, this is very telling, and I would actually recommend, like, if you want to see like some real truths about this narrative that's going on now, then watch this video, because it's going to really reveal a lot to you. But it says the world as he knew it is over, right? But again, when he comes out, he's almost like this pioneer in this new world to try to set free those who are in those isolation pods. But when he comes out, like, he has to relearn. He doesn't know how to speak. He hasn't spoken. Everything's been on the computer. He sits in front of a computer and plays games and eats there and does everything in front of it. And so, but what was more telling was that his name was Darwin, right? Darwin is Darwinism. It's about evolution again. So definitely take a look at this video. I'm just giving you really the surface overview. And then I want to come back just this last piece. I have a video that goes deeper on this, when the connection to the metaverse, or this AI, like this AI god, essentially, where they have this. This is a quantum computer that is in Google, and it's a D-wave quantum computer, and you can see what it looks like. It looks like a black box. Now, when I tell you, like, all of religion, creation, humanity, like everything that is opposed to that which is the truth in Christ, is leading to the worship of this thing. Okay, this is where everyone's going to plug in, where everyone's going to converge. They're going to come together, and it is through this, all of the computations, everything. And this is what we're seeing, right? It's the same thing that you see the Kaaba, I'm sorry, the black box, which is in Mecca. Okay, this is what they worship. And again, so it's just a receiving of this thing, and you've seen this in other places. The black cube of Saturn in Australia, Denmark, Manhattan. It's everywhere, and it's all leading up to this. Okay, it's all leading up to this. They believe this is the place of God. Okay, this is his dwelling place. Again, you're seeing some of those similarities. So I just wanted to, give you guys this video about the fourth industrial revolution. That is where the direction this is going. And there's a lot here. There's a lot to process through. So take your time, watch the video, pause it if you have to, soak it in, and share it, because this is the direction, guys. This is it. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, share, like I said, share the video, give me a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you all. And God bless you, and stay safe. Okay, bye-bye.